8,000 firefighters and emergency personnel have been deployed, including the National Guard. Firefighters have poured in from all over the country to help. Overnight, officials said the death toll has now risen to 10 people. The Palisades fire is the most destructive in Southern California history. It's burned an area larger than the size of Manhattan. Wow. Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman starts off our team coverage. Good morning.
I thought it was criminal for bandits to loot and raid homes that are impacted by the wildfires. Why are bandits trying to loot the Palisades? Why can't we stop bandits from loitering and looting? What are you talking about, brother? I have a lot of friends who have relatives who live in the Pacific Palisades, and they're reported bandits trying to steal and rob everything inside. Are these bandits insane, bro? I don't know what you're talking about, brother. I don't know. Like, do you see what the Palisades look like? Like, what are you talking about? What you're making it seem like they're doing a wow raid. These bandits, they're in the tree line, sir. Man, just look at the footage. There ain't nothing inside that rubble. Yeah, like Pacific Palisades is like an extra crazy place to say that this is actually what's going on. Like, I'm sure there might be some people, there might be some insane people that are like, oh, hell yeah, it's time to like raid this Rust base. But I don't understand. You're saying loitering and looting. I don't know what you mean by loitering and looting. Are you saying that people are loitering as in like they're just hanging out around the ash that once used to be a house? Like, what are you saying? Are they stealing the ash? I thought it was criminal for bandits to loot and raid homes that are impacted by the wildfires. Why aren't the cops doing anything? My relatives in the Pacific Palisades home got raided 2 days ago. Is your Pacific Palisade home standing? I don't understand. Because 75% of the house is burned to a crisp. Not sure why you pretend to be dumb as it's obvious what they wrote. I mean, they are. Why are you playing dumb? Because why would I entertain the fantasies of random people in a situation where 75% of the houses have been burned to the ground? And you're over here talking about how like there is a massive looting problem. A lot of this stuff is just people is people communicating through whisper networks where there are pre-existing fears of this sort of thing happening. Are they hitting the 25% that's remaining? Is that what's going on? Like, that's all he wrote. I'm just stating what's happening. Okay, now you're playing dumb. I understand what that person is saying, and I'm addressing that the likelihood of this becoming like a major problem is fairly low. They talk about it like there's hundreds of people raiding the remaining homes. Yeah. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is out of 18 million people, if they arrested like 10 people on suspicion of looting and like 10 people who were actually looting, I guess the remaining 25% of the homes that are standing in the Pacific Palisades, do you understand how unimaginably minuscule this problem is? And it's being overextended as though it's like a ginormous problem. It's being deliberately talked about. It is a self-referential cycle that the media engages in with regular frequency, where they overextend and exaggerate the problem of looting that's happening in any sort of crises in an effort to ensure that police budgets stay high. Ironically enough, we can have a conversation right now about how high the police budgets are and how that actually works directly against the existing fire department budgets that need to go up in a place where there are wildfires. And the wildfires are going to continue to get worse and worse as a consequence of climate change. But many of you are so quick to hit that reactionary talking point to be like, what are the cops doing? There's looting happening all over the place. And without recognizing, unironically, playing along with the same incompetence of the Karen Bass administration that you want to criticize. It's crazy. Also, they don't have to talk about the insurance companies taking away fire protection. Yeah, there's so many more important things to discuss here. And there are people being like, yeah, the DEI lesbian fire chief, that's the reason why it happened. Or there's looting happening. Why aren't you talking about the looting? Why are you secretly hiding the looting? Like, as though it's a good thing. No, dude, it's not a good thing, okay? And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen ever, okay? But in a major city like this, having like one or two incidents such as this one, and then a whole bunch of suspicion is not necessarily the smartest way to go about it. That's it, okay? I hope the Forest Service will be able to use these fires and how impossible it's been to contain them as a way to get funding. Equipment is aging, wages have stagnated for the past decade, and they're struggling to hire anyone. I made more washing dishes at a hotel than being a hot shot. I worked less hours and an infinitely easier job. I made more. It's disgusting how little wildland gets paid. PD steals so much money from the FD. I mean, wildland in particular is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. As far as I've seen, the like LAFD at least gets paid pretty decently, has a good pension. It's actually a very well sought after position. The Los Angeles Fire Department jobs. They're hard to come by, incredibly competitive. You have to be in like peak physique. But as far as the wildfire firefighters at the federal level, it is ridiculous. It is genuinely shocking how little these federal employees get paid. Yeah, CAL FIRE has like 3x the starting wage at USFS wildland fire fighters. It's crazy. Anyway, it's just something to consider in terms of like what our spending priorities look like and how crazy it is. And also, I found out what the actual salaries are for daily for the private forces. There are private brigades, by the way. It's like a known secret. And I'll tell you how much they get paid. They get paid $7,000 a day. This is untenable. So if you're a firefighter from anywhere in the country, as far as I understand, and as long as you have your certifications, and then for Los Angeles, you need to get like EMT as well. Do the private brigades have their own private water source? I don't believe they do. So that one tweet about private firefighting service is real? Yeah, it is a real thing. I covered it extensively when Kanye West hired one for Calabasas a couple years back. But yes, they are a real thing. If you're finding yourself in the throes of reactionary looting law and order narratives in the midst of this like unimaginably devastating wildfire, remember that you are doing the bidding of these guys who personally think that it's important to consistently keep paying cops more and more, keep expanding their budgets, and sometimes that those budgets are directly at odds with other budgets. Let's keep going.
Matt. Yep.
Hey, George, I want you to see behind me there is a house that is now fully engulfed. We are still...
What is this? Saw something about how their companies are already trying to buy up some of the land burnt homes. Not sure if it's true or not. Of course it's true. It always happens after every fire. It happened after Lahaina. If you recall, there are always opportunists that try to buy low in the immediate aftermath, knowing full well that there are always going to be, even in a place like the Pacific Palisades, there are always going to be people who simply have they don't have enough money. They can't wait for the insurance payout. They have to sit in their rental property that the insurance is paying for, that the insurance is subsidizing, and they see an opportunity for that land to go away, and they're like, okay, this is it. I need it. I'm desperate. There are always vulturous people that take advantage of these situations. The other thing that a lot of people do is also put out incredibly high rental properties. They've already started popping up in the Mar Vista area, in the Santa Monica adjacent neighborhoods, where single family homes that used to be rented out for $15,000 a month. These are pretty large single family homes. Just understand, similar to what you're seeing in like the Pacific Palisade area. Now they have doubled the rent. Yeah. There are single family homes that are going for like $10,000 a month to $15,000 a month. Now they are on the market for $30,000. $30,000. $15K a month is crazy. That's so cute that you guys are so oblivious to Los Angeles real estate. Yes, dude. Yes. Single family homes in Los Angeles in the rental market are like $15,000 a month, $10,000 a month. Yes.
Still seeing homes burst into flames here days after the initial fire passed through. Fire crew just arrived here for the first time. We were here just before them. They are aware of this. They are trying to pounce on each one of these fires as quickly as possible, because I want you to see, I don't know if you can, maybe we'll keep pulling up a little bit, and I'll have Juan, our cameraman, and our second camera, Will, here show you the embers shooting up in the air. That is a concern. Those embers get fired up, cast downrange, hundreds of yards, and with a strong wind, even miles downrange, and they start new fires. Now, we're going to keep going down here because we talk about these numbers and you see some of those fires up close, but you can't get a sense of the scale of what 10,000 structures destroyed in both of those fires, Eaton and here Palisades fire, looks like, what 10 fatalities seems like when we talk about whole neighborhoods until you see it on the ground. And the only way to really see it is drive through to see those naked chimneys with nothing around them. The playthings and toys of children just completely disintegrated here. And this goes on block after block on both sides of the street.
Nah, bro, I see a lot of opportunity to loot, man. I look at this and I think to myself, well, time to loot. Meanwhile, the real looters are the insurance companies. The real looters are the agribusiness interests that have absolutely gutted water management in this state. The real looters are the Los Angeles Police Department that takes up so much of the limited resources that your taxpayer dollars actually fund. And you're over here thinking about, like, you're fantasizing about like a random scary Guatemalan guy looting the ash out of this house that is like eviscerated, not realizing that that in and of itself is actually a continuation of the same structure. That right there, when you talk about looters and how devastating and how scary it is, acting like this is a ginormous problem. And I'm not saying that there isn't a single person that has, tried to use this as an opportunity to steal. But if you consider the situation, if you consider the 18 million, if you consider the tens of thousands of structures that have been destroyed, and you think to yourself that, oh, there's like some serious looting happening.
As far as the eye can see.
This morning, those new harrowing images revealing the scale of the damage in Los Angeles.
I don't know how we're going to come back from this. I don't even know where to start.
Across the county, more than 10,000 structures destroyed, and overnight the number of fatalities jumping to 10.
Mars would be more habitable than this place right now, so it's crazy. There's absolutely nothing.
Once densely packed neighborhoods, now smoky wastelands.
Pacific Palisades, right now, could just be taken off the map. There is no Pacific Palisades.
But trickling back into this hellscape were families hoping to salvage an heirloom or a memento.
That is the living room. That's the front entrance.
This is for everybody.
Beyond that, there was a bedroom.
In the rubble of a condo building in Pacific Palisades, we meet Gail and Mario.
Is this your safe?
It is. Wanted to get to it before the looters got to it.
Gail fled with just her nurse scrubs, a phone.
Wanted to get to it before the looters got to it is crazy. Like, everyone's brains are broken, dude. I swear to God.
And little else.
The documents, passport, things like that
Nothing.
are somewhere here.
Yeah. Everything.
The widow hoping her wedding ring had survived this inferno.
Wow.
Mario pushed the safe off the building, then cracked it open. And for a moment, Gail held her breath.
These your rings?
Yeah, my wedding ring. This is my wedding ring.
There it was, still glittering.
Very cool.
Quickly, police on the hunt for looters came to investigate.
How major of a concern is looting here?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And then you.
Dude, that's crazy. Of course the cops are going to say that. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. Dude, that is... Oh, it's so funny because under any other circumstance, you would recognize exactly what's going on here. You know what I mean? But when it comes to like reactionary propaganda, the media totally is like, yeah, you're right. This is a huge deal. This is a serious, ginormous problem. That's why you need all the budgets, actually. I'm so glad that you got all the budgets. Okay? It's a tacit endorsement of the ridiculous funding structure that exists in Los Angeles. Okay? It is a way to basically say, fear not. It's not the LAFD that deserves more of those funds. It's actually the cops, because they're stopping the scary looters. Remember, they're stopping the scary looters. There's a lot of income inequality here. Okay? There's a lot of poors out here. Maybe the poor started the fire. You never know. Maybe they just hate it. Maybe they just hate the rich. That's why they started the fire. Please, no matter what you do not look at the situation directly in front of you. Do not look at the mismanagement of funds. Do not look at the mismanagement of resources. Do not look at climate change being an accelerant in all of this. Don't do it. Bro, I swear the looting is literally happening. I've personally dealt with them today. No, bro, I work in security here in Malibu. We had 6 looters this morning. Like, dude, Hasan, I've literally kicked out 6 dudes on bikes that were trying to start looting. I'm a security guard here in Malibu. Okay, once again, I'm not saying that there is no looting happening, okay? I'm talking about how much people are hyper-focusing. Also, dudes looting on a bike, like, no, they're not looting. They're just messing around. You know what I mean? Like, they're being annoying. Some of them might actually want to steal shit. Your job is to basically make sure that they're not anywhere near you or anywhere near the property you're supposed to be guarding, you know? Okay, if you say so, King. I'm not saying let him on the property, dog. I don't know what's so hard to understand. Once again, there are 18 million people living in Los Angeles, okay? Like, are there going to be opportunists? Of course there are, okay? Just like I'm not discounting the notion. Just like I'm not discounting the notion that it could have been arson, at least for one of these fires. Oh, my God. My point is, we have this bias often, okay? We have this bias where, like, we get primed into thinking that anything and everything that we see might actually be in line with the preconceived notions that we have of society. Calling them opportunists is so dark. I don't know what else to call them. They are taking advantage of a situation that of a crisis if they are actually trying to steal stuff. The point I'm trying to make is it is marginal, but the reason why you hear about it nonstop is for a nefarious purpose. The reason why that's the only thing you hear about, and then that actually shapes the way that you see what's going on in your own backyard, that causes you to think every single person that you don't really recognize might be a looter, is because there is a scary, insidious, propagandistic purpose to constantly thinking about looters in the aftermath of natural disasters, so that you never question why the cops get more money year over year and why the fire department doesn't have that same unlimited budget. That's it. And people refuse to understand it. They'll come in here and they'll be like, oh, looters though. It's like, I get it. Okay. I'm not saying that they don't exist, but the real reason why they're hyper focusing on this narrative is because twofold. One, if it bleeds, it leads. It's great clickbait. And two, it's a way to constantly make you afraid that there are a tremendous number of villainous figures that are poorer than you that want to do horrible violence to you all day, every day. And that's precisely the reason why you need cops. That's precisely the reason why you need multiple billions of dollars, more tanks for the cops.
You have $1 million homes all intact, rows and rows of them. And there's really no way to police this area effectively right now.
At least 20 people have been arrested for looting and checkpoints.
HasanAbi, it's a huge problem. 6 looters, bro. Chatter told them to leave, and then guess what happened? They left. Stop downplaying this real serious business. True. My bad.
So right now, that young man on...
Why does the media run with that narrative? I 100% agree with. I'm just confused about the media's angle because it's more entertaining and interesting. Just as it is more entertaining and interesting to talk about Paris Hilton's house being burned down in Malibu than it is to talk about the black middle-class family in Altadena losing their nest egg and everything that they worked their entire lives for. And that's precisely the reason why people look at the situation and go, oh, it's all rich assholes who lost their 8th house. I don't care. F them. That's the whole point. The media is not covering this in that way specifically because they want to draw resentment and ire towards the victims of a massive wildfire. They're doing that because that is a narrative that's cool and interesting and unique. And these guys want to make things unique and interesting. That is the primary goal. And this isn't the entirety of the media, because I do have to give a lot of credit to local news and even mainstream news in general. They've done a tremendous job, aside from like the insane looting is happening everywhere, we have to start killing random people, and it's probably arson narratives. They've done a tremendous job, accurately and in real time giving you information that you need. This is one of those moments where you have to remember, like, this is why local media matters, okay? This is why local news is incredibly important. Think about what you see on Twitter. Think about your Twitter timeline, how malleable it is and how silly it is that, like, you have to scour through basically multiple scrolls worth of scrolls worth of your timeline on Twitter to arrive at like accurate information in real time, as opposed to local news, as opposed to mainstream outlets that are in real time offering you real time coverage about what's going on. The looting fear is just so overblown. The cops need to set up a perimeter anyway, since most of the area is still dangerous. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, there is a role for police here. There is a role for police, as I pointed out, when the fires were happening. They're there to redirect traffic and ensure people can't get into these areas, okay? They're there to make sure that everyone can evacuate safely. They're there to ensure that people can't go back to their houses by force if necessary, to stop them by force if necessary. Because when you allow random people to go in through the cordon that the area that you cordon off, you're creating a worse situation for emergency services. You are now a potential victim that needs to be saved. You have a car that is potentially blocking the emergency services that might need to use that route. So cops actually do play an important role here. They just don't really do that important role. It's not about stopping the looters. There are plenty of places where the police force play an important role in crisis management in times like this. The issue, however, is that they rarely do the job that they're supposed to. And then they just sit around and talk about looters all day and about arson and about homeless people potentially like lighting these fires or whatever.
motorcycle, the motorbike, is being pushed away by the officer. He sort of blew through this checkpoint here, and immediately they pounced and chased him.
Susan Campick, Tracy, and Madeline Dam among the dozens who walked here in the hopes of being escorted back.
So I don't get it. So do we have any updates? Is the guy in the motorcycle actually, do we know that he was a looter? Do we know that that was his goal? Or was he just an interested party that wanted to see what was up? Or maybe even someone who lives there and wanted to go back home? No, he was driving a motorcycle. So the automatic assumption is that he is a looter. This is what I'm saying. It's like, walked up to a random car and yelled at them. They said, I live here, but I'm scared all my neighbors and avoid eye contact. So how could I know? Anyway, here's their license plate. These guys are casing the Sunset Firehouse looking for a score. I approached them and I said, I don't speak English. I live here. He doesn't live here. They're professional looting rings, operate an organized entity. That is insane. That is insane.
Back to their homes.
I've been in this since Tuesday. I've got the same socks. It's like everything is the same.
Oh, they got the, yeah, see, they got the looter. They got the scary looter in the back. Look, look, look.
I've been in this since Tuesday. I've got the same socks. It's like everything.
There he is. In his like $30,000 e-bike, by the way. Like, what's the higher likelihood that he's a looter on a bike? Or not 30,000. I think these are like 10 grand or something. The Segways are crazy. The new Segways are like 35 grand. The electric bikes. Maybe he just looted the bike too.
It's like everything is the same.
It's almost like at this stage of my life when I thought I was at the end of the marathon, I'm at the beginning of a new marathon. And we have to create everything from scratch.
They got the call, jumped in the car, and off they went. Just a few minutes later.
It's apocalyptic. It's like someone's dropped a bomb. There's cars burnt out. There's ash everywhere. We were thinking it was going to be bad, but I think we both had no idea how bad it was.
Like so many grappling with the loss of almost everything.
If I could only have found one thing, this was it. It's the bill that we have at the front of the house, and it came.
Like, look at this, dude. Look at, like, what are they gonna loot from this house? Look at the conditions of the house, dude. The bell outside the house looks like that. What are you gonna loot from that house, Chatter?
My husband's childhood home in Somerset, England, and it's damaged, but it's alive.
These satellite images showing the immense size and scope of the
like, yeah, you know, opportunity, baby. I can't wait to loot the ashes.
Devastation.
You're completely out of touch on this. Looters are an issue, though. I don't know if you're genuinely trolling right now or trying to push a narrative and an agenda. You're completely out of touch on this. No, I'm not completely out of touch on this. I'm stating that while there are opportunists in times like this, the media greatly overemphasizes the danger of looting in a situation where what is there to even loot in the Pacific Palisades? 75% of all standing structures have melted. 75%. People that say, oh, I'm not duped by mainstream media narratives, immediately get duped by mainstream media hyper-focus on certain incidents and certain issues in the immediate aftermath of a wildfire, where 75% of all standing structures have been destroyed, and only because it corresponds to their reactionary attitudes that they have and the fear that they have in their heart about the unknown, about the other, about like the vicious nature of man, that where they go, nah, you're out of your element. I'm not saying that there aren't people that would try to do such a thing. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that people are greatly overemphasizing this aspect.
Where there were once sprawling communities, now a wasteland surrounded by areas splattered in red fire retardant. This picturesque coastline obliterated. Haze.
That's the other part of this. You know what's crazy about the looting in this situation? They're going to get cancer, dog. If they go into the flame retardant sprayed houses, okay, that's an incredibly cancerous material. So even if they were to go to a standing structure, they're just going to get, they're putting a death sentence on themselves, okay?
Obscuring the scene below.
Oh, look at the flag.
And there, that tattered flag covered in soot, waving at half-staff. Among the debris, of course, the greatest loss,
I have to pee.
Human lives. The New York Times reporting 82-year-old Rodney Nickerson and retired pharmacy technician Erlene Kelly were among the dead. And 66-year-old Victor Shaw.
And I opened the front door and I just yelled in, Victor, we got to get out. This is it. We have to get out. The fire's here. And I didn't hear him say anything. I heard him say nothing. So I ran to the car and I just got out. I just got out and I went down the street and there was a police car and I flagged him and I said, my brother's in the house, I need help. And he told me to get out. He said, go.
His family later finding his body with a garden hose in his hand.
And I couldn't be here. I couldn't be here to save him. I couldn't be here. That's what hurts the most.